Ladies and gentlemen, Sky Soldiers past and present, distinguished guests, and most important, the family of PFC James C. Banks. My name is Rick White and I am a Sky Soldier. I also have the honor of serving as the president of the 173rd Airborne Brigade National Memorial Foundation. On behalf of all officers and members of the Board of Directors, I welcome you today to our memorial, where in just a few short moments, we are going to add the name of one of our fallen Sky Soldier brothers that is long overdue. As a former member of 1st Battalion, it makes me both humbled and proud to honor another 1st Rock Trooper who gave his all for his country. He will join the 1,742 fallen Sky Soldiers from the Vietnam War and the 82 fallen Sky Soldiers from the global war on terror. Please rise for the invocation given by Sky Soldier Chaplain from Iraq, Chaplain Stephen Cantrell, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Correction, the national anthem.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we ask your blessing upon this special time, a time to honor fallen Sky Soldier, Private First Class James C. Banks. We thank you for his devotion to duty, along with fellow Vietnam War fallen Sky Soldiers of the famous 173rd Airborne. We ask you to bless his family with us today. And Father, we are grateful for everyone who has worked so hard and given so generously to provide this special place of reverence, a place to honor these fallen Sky Soldiers. We remember all these who have defended this great country, which in your holy name we pray. Let us say amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Voss, Vice President of the Memorial Foundation, will now lead us in a moment of silence for those still unaccounted for and for those who are prisoners of war.
Thank you everyone for attending today. So this Monday, our Memorial Day, is a time when we as a nation will take pause, honor and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of our nation. Here today, we'll add the name of another fallen brother and Sky Soldier to our memorial behind us. I ask everyone to join me in a moment of silence to remember all of our fallen Sky Soldier brothers. Thank you.
I would like to introduce Ken Cox, who is the former Vice President of the 173rd Airborne Association, former National Secretary of the 173rd Airborne Association, and Executive Committee member of the Company C 1st 503rd Infantry Scholarship Fundraiser Committee, who not only is a fellow warrior and Sky Soldier, but he served with James Banks in the war. Ken, please come forward and share with us your remarks.
Good morning. It's a fine Airborne day. I'd like to express my appreciation to Rick White and the members of the Board of Directors, National Foundation Committee. I'd also like to express my appreciation to the Banks family. In particular, I'd like to express my appreciation to Jackie and Ethel Banks, who had the courage to answer my messages. Otherwise, I would not be standing here today. We're here today to witness and remember PFC James Carl Banks, whose name will be uncovered on this monument. But this is not the only reason we're here. But let me get back here. There are 1,824 paratroopers' names engraved on this monument, and today I'm going to speak about one paratrooper. But the story is about all of them. I want you to know who Jimmy Banks was before he entered the Army. But it'll be like one of those movies you see where they have a little caption at the beginning that says, based on actual facts, but not actual. Today is May 28th, 1966, and it's 10:30 in the morning. And Jimmy Banks jumps out of bed, gets dressed, goes downstairs, walks through the kitchen, opens the refrigerator, and gets a Coke. His father is sitting at the kitchen table. He looks over, and his father says to him, "Jimmy, what are you doing today?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to go down to the store. I'm going to pick up a newspaper. I'm going to look at the box scores from last night's Detroit Tigers game. The Tigers lost to the Angels 3-1. As he heads to the door, his father says, "Don't forget, you got to clean the garage today." He goes through the living room and he sees his brothers and his sisters watching TV, and he says to his brother Stephen, "Hey Stephen, you want to come along? We're going to hit the hamburger joints later." And Stephen eagerly jumps up, and they go to the door, and out they go. And sitting out in the driveway is a 1960 black Buick Bomber. I mean, this is a hunk of iron. Jimmy loves this car, and he loves working on this car, and he loves doing mechanical things. So off they go. First stop, the Laporte brothers' home. This is where Steve and Jerry live, two of Jimmy's friends. They get in. Next stop, his best friend's home, Tommy Bennett. And Tom's going to play an interesting role in Jimmy's life further on. They do the usual things. They ride around town. They go to the store. They pick up the newspaper. And it becomes around noontime, and they head to the hamburger joint, McDonald's. And there's all kinds of teenagers with their vehicles sitting in the parking lot, and there's a lot of talk about last night's fun, Friday night. Everybody has bragging rights, and everybody is trying to make some front page high school news. And there's a lot of laughter and a lot of joking, and there's a discussion about did Norm Cash hit a home run last night or not. So just a little history here. Norm Cash went 1 for 3. He hit a home run, a fly out, and a ground out. They drive around town a little bit, and it's 4 o'clock, and it's time to go home, and they have supper, and they sit around the table, all of them, and they have a wonderful conversation. Lots of laughs, lots of discussion, and somebody at the table says to Jimmy, "Hey, are you going out on a date tonight?" And Jimmy says, "Yes." And Robert says, "With who?" And Jimmy smiles, and he has a very special smile. And he says, "Sharon." "No, Paula." "No, wait a minute, Veronica." You see, Jimmy's very popular with the girls at 17 years old. So 6:30, he's out the door. But just before he goes out the door, his sister yells, "Jimmy, I want to ride, I want to ride." And it's a special ride. So he puts his sister up on his shoulders and he runs around the house, through the kitchen, through the living room, out the door, back into the front door, and his mother is yelling the whole time, "Put her down, she's going to hit her head." And this is life in the Banks house. Life is good. Life is wonderful. And so it goes. 8:30 p.m., Jimmy's at the drive-in with all of his friends, 6 cars all lined up in the back row. Nobody's there to watch the movie. They're all sitting on the front of their cars, and it's all about laughter and fun. And by the way, he's with one of those 3 young ladies I mentioned. And it's all about bragging rights. And it's all about just graduating from high school. And life is good for all of them. And so it goes. And the summer passes, and Jimmy gets a part-time job, and he teaches Robert how to swim. And I'm not quite sure that he finished those classes. And he teaches Stephen about how to work on engines and do tune-ups and wash the car. And he dotes on his sister, and he gives her lots of shoulder rides and lots of ice cream runs. And he spends time with his friends, and there's plenty of times for dates with Sharon or Paula or Veronica. The summer ends. It's September 14th, and it's Jimmy's 18th birthday. And we're not sure what's next. Friends go off to college, they get full-time jobs, or they get apprenticeships over at the General Motors plant in Flint, Michigan. But Jimmy's looking for something different. He's looking for an adventure. He doesn't just want a job. And one day, Tommy Bennett comes up with a great idea. Let's join the Army, go in under the buddy plan. Now, none of you are laughing, but those of us who have been around for a while know that's a joke. So, it is the Army, and Jimmy decides he wants to go Airborne infantry. He wants to be a Paratrooper. He completes his basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey. He goes to AIT at Fort Gordon, Georgia, where that AIT is geared to Paratrooper candidates only. And then he completes his airborne training right here at Fort Benning, Georgia, in January of 1967. He's assigned to the 173rd Airborne Brigade, separate, Company C, 1st 503rd Infantry, the Weapons Platoon. Life as a paratrooper in the Republic of Vietnam is rough, dangerous work. It's lots of hardships, there's lots of responsibility. It's hot, it's humid, it's dirty, and the smallest of mistakes can lead to the worst of consequences. Jimmy's well-liked. He fits right in. He has a great smile. He has a smile that says to you, I know something you don't know, and you should worry. I know that smile because I've seen it. Then tragedy strikes. And on a Sunday morning in late August of 1967, there is the dreaded knock on the door. 2 officers waiting to speak to his parents. And time is suspended until eternity for PFC James Carl Banks from Flint, Michigan. Today, PFC James Carl Banks was a paratrooper with the 173rd Airborne Brigade separate, whose life ended in service to his country in the Republic of Vietnam on August 27, 1967. And it is our duty to ensure that he and all the rest of the names on this one are not forgotten. Today, we, the veterans, soldiers, brothers, sisters, family members, and friends, are here to witness the uncovering of his name engraved on this monument, joining the 1,842 other names and reinforcing our commitment to their remembrance. I think a lot about the ultimate sacrifice that James Banks made, and all of the other names on this monument. In closing, I offer to you the words of Sir Lawrence Binyon from his writing For the Fallen, also known as The Remembrance. They went with song to battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, and aglow. They were staunch to the end. Against odds uncounted, they fell with their faces to the foe. They mingle not with their laughing friends and comrades again. They sit no more at familiar tables of home. They have no labor in our lot of the day. They sleep beyond our reach, but not unknown. They shall not grow old as those of us will grow old. Time shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. Airborne, all the way. I have one more order of business before I step back. Rick? Rick, on behalf of the members of Company C, 1st 503rd Infantry Battalion, members of the local community, I present to you this donation for $2,100 to be used in any way that you can on the monument in the name of PFC James Carl Banks.
Thank you, Ken. I'm sure James is looking down from sitting with the great jumpmaster in the sky and smiling. Ladies and gentlemen, sky soldiers, fellow warriors from all wars past and present, please stand for the final roll call and the unveiling of the name on our memorial. Eric? Reister.
Here, Sergeant Major.
Kozlowski.
Here, Sergeant Major.
Banks. PFC Banks. Private First Class James C. Banks.
That took a long time to turn off. I just finally turned it off last time. It was going off. At least you're my right.
I wanted to get a good picture of it.
Oh yeah, that is in the.
Last night, the glare, not
Right.
stupid phone. Let me get that picture of you.
Please be seated. Captain Cantrell will now come forward and give the benediction.
I invite you to bow in prayer. Receive the benediction. As we depart this 173rd memorial, proudly bearing the name of James C. Banks, God bless us. Bless us with traveling mercies. And Lord, let the words of John chapter 15, verse 13 ring out in our hearts. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. Let us say amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, family of James and distinguished guests, I'd like to thank you all for coming out this morning to honor the memory of Sky Soldier James C. Banks. For those of you who'd like to get a scratching of James' name, we have paper available for you to do so. It is up to us, the families and the Sky Soldier brothers of the fallen, to honor their sacrifice, to remember them when others have forgotten, and to keep their names on our lips and in our hearts. I am honored to have been a Sky Soldier. It is an honor to be in the same fraternity of warriors as you all, and it is an honor to remember James C. Banks. Our countrymen may forget on our wars and forget about what we did with our brothers in the jungles, deserts, and the mountains, and faraway lands, but we will remember, and always will. Thank you for attending today. There will be a reception at the Hampton Hotel, located at the far end of the Infantry Museum parking lot. Thank you all for coming today to honor James.